Welcome back to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I know you ladies out there are like, what are you wearing? Why? It's so sparkly. There's sequins. I need to know about it. Yes, well, we're actually having a sale on my Trump jackets on AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. It says DJT on the front, and on the back it says Trump, Make America Great Again. It's all in sequins. It's beautiful. And it's like half off right now. So go check it out, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Stock up on some lipstick while you're at it. I'm wearing Miss America. Anywho, enough self-promotion, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. I laughed so hard last night when I saw the new revelations of this Pete Hegseth debacle, this scandal. If you're listening to the mainstream media, it's a scandal. This is a giant scandal. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. I'm sorry. The other day, I accidentally used I dead named him. I dead named Pete Hegseth. I called him the Secretary of Defense. He is, of course, not. He is the Secretary of War, which is much cooler. And if you're listening to the mainstream media this past week, you have been hearing all about how Pete Hegseth is a war criminal, originating from the Washington Post, who ran this hit piece, Hegseth Order on First Caribbean Boat Strike. Officials say kill them all. So these were the Venezuelan drug boats that we were, of course, rightfully targeting because they're bringing drugs into our country and killing Americans. And, it's a very sad story. I can hear the violin playing in my head as you read this headline and the subheader, as 2 men clung to a stricken burning ship targeted by SEAL Team 6. Oh, God, the poor drug runners. They clung to the stricken burning ship. Whatever were they going to do? And those poor guys, what happened to them after the defense secretary's order to leave no survivors? That's what this Washington Post article said. We've been talking about it, of course, ad nauseum, especially, along with everyone else, except the mainstream media is not giving you the whole story. Although, until now, we've got some new information that they were forced to admit. But before last night, they were like, he's a war criminal. He said kill them all, leave no survivors. And then we found out he actually didn't ever say that. No one uttered the words kill them all. By the way, Pete Hegseth wasn't even there. He left one of his commanders in charge, admirals in charge. And it seems like the Washington Post, you guys are going to be shocked to hear this. They got it wrong. This is the first time ever. They got it wrong. And now we hear the rest of the story from ABC News. I think maybe on accident, they accidentally told the truth.
And tonight, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the 2 survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice.
Oh, well, that seems like groundbreaking new information, Martha Raddatz. It seems like, now what you guys didn't see, because I wasn't going to make you watch 4 minutes of ABC News Tonight, whatever the that was. Sorry. That didn't deserve an F-bomb and I gave it anyway. I'm not going to make you sit through this entire segment, but what you don't realize from watching that, it's just a little blip. Oh, by the way, it turns out Pete Hegseth is completely vindicated because those guys were climbing back on the boat because it turns out they were very dedicated at doing their bad things and their crimes. And that's why that happened to them. But they buried that at the end of the whole segment because they didn't want you to hear it. They didn't want you to hear the new information. They felt compelled to give it because they don't want to get sued. They don't want to be called fake news, even though they are. They just added it at the end of their whole package. This seems like the information that you lead with. Listen, I'm not a journalist. Some people call me a journalist. I actually hate that title. I'm not a journalist. I don't pretend to be. I don't care to be. I would never want to claim that title. But I'm not a journalist, but I feel like you probably lead with that. And that's a huge revelation. Hey, breaking news tonight. It turns out Pete Hegseth isn't a war criminal and we all owe him an apology. No, They waited till the end of the segment. They were like, oh, by the way, boy, were we wrong about that. I mean, these people should never be trusted. I don't know what they could possibly do to earn back the credibility that these people have lost. I mean, you have the Washington Post, CNN, MS Now, whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days. They regurgitate their same stories. The Washington Post runs a story that is half-baked and untrue. And then you see it on all of these different outlets all over the place, and they're running the same damn story because none of them actually give a shit about getting to the truth. They just want to get Donald Trump. And I'll tell you how pervasive this particular lie was. This particular lie was so pervasive that you had people on Newsmax. You had Newsmax hosts and commentators slamming Pete Hegseth for being a big war criminal, I guess.
It gives me no pleasure to say what I'm about to say because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 or 8 years at Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these two people.
This is really shameful. Now, I have friends who are on Newsmax, so I don't want to slam the entire outlet, but how shameful to go on your outlet and slam Pete Hegseth. You know, you could just text the guy. You said you know him quite well. You could text him and ask him if the Washington Post reporting is true. That's what happens in this country. The Washington Post can print whatever they want. It could be true. It could be a total lie. It doesn't really matter. And no one is going to be, not lazy. No one is actually going to follow up before they report the exact same thing, including conservative media. That's shameful. I will have you guys know, I never take the Washington Post as like the Bible, okay? Never. That's not what you're getting on Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. By the way, the Trump administration, again, has been completely transparent throughout this entire ordeal. They detailed exactly what happened. Pete Hegseth answered questions. Caroline Leavitt answered questions. And by the way, President Trump now is saying, like, sure, really, you want the video of the second strike? Sure. If we have it, I'm happy to give it to you because we have nothing to hide.
Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
No problem. No problem. Because we aren't the criminals left office January 19th. We aren't the criminals. There's nothing to hide. And by the way, you know what else is shameful? Rand Paul, who is going out and giving these, little like press junkets where he's telling people like, well, where these guys weren't armed. How can you need to prove that they're armed first. You know what they're armed with, Rand? Drugs that they're bringing into our country to kill Americans with. That's what they're armed with. I can't believe that we're even having this conversation, whether it's a good thing that we are taking out narco-terrorists. And do you know who agrees with me? A convicted narco-terrorist from Venezuela. A convicted narco-terrorist from Venezuela, a former Maduro spy chief, wrote a letter to President Trump. He's like serving time right now. He wrote a letter to President Trump seeking to expose the narco-terrorist war against the United States. Now, I would very highly recommend, this is a really, really long letter. I will read you some pieces of it. I highly recommend that you read the entire thing. It is incredible. But this is Hugo Carvajal Barrios, who sent an open letter explaining that what President Trump is doing by blowing up these boats is 100% right, because these people are at war with us, whether we like to believe it or not. That's not from me. That's from him. That is from a 3-star general of the Venezuelan regime under both Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. He broke with them in 2017, and he pleaded guilty to certain crimes relating to narco-terrorism. And in his letter, he's like, I would like to start trying to atone for everything that I've done. And in doing so, I am going to explain to you what the drug boat plan was. He said, I see the need to address the American people about the reality of what the Venezuelan regime truly is and why President Trump's policies are not only correct, but absolutely necessary to the United States' national security. I personally witnessed how Hugo Chavez's government became a criminal organization that is now run by Nicolas Maduro, Diosdado Cabello, and other senior regime officials. The purpose of this organization, now known as the Cartel of the Suns, is to weaponize drugs against the United States. Hello, do you think we're at war? The purpose of this organization is to weaponize drugs against the United States. The drugs that reached your cities through new routes were not accidents of corruption, nor just the work of independent traffickers. They were deliberate policies coordinated by the Venezuelan regime against the United States. This plan was suggested by the Cuban regime to Chavez in the mid-2000s and has been successfully executed with help from FARC, ELN, Cuban operatives, and Hezbollah. The regime has provided weapons, passports, and impunity for these terrorist organizations to operate freely from Venezuela against the United States. The regime I served is not merely hostile, it is at war with you, using drugs, gangs, espionage, and even your own democratic processes as weapons. I absolutely support President Trump's policy toward Venezuela because it is in self-defense and he is acting based on the truth. And it also goes into, again, I'm telling you guys, you need to read the entire thing. Curiously, the CIA is also mentioned. And he goes into, it's about narco-terrorism. And then he goes into how they organized gangs, one of which is Tren de Aragua, to come in and terrorize us. How Tren de Aragua within our own borders are taking, they are waiting for the Venezuelan government to tell them what to do. And then they're doing it. How they took advantage of the Biden-Harris open border policies to send criminals and spies into our country who he says are still here. He says some of whom are officials, elected officials. This is all insane stuff from him. This is not Sara Gonzales with her tinfoil hat on explaining these things to you. This is a guy who has nothing to, he's already been sentenced. He's serving time in federal prison. And he's like, I just want to make this right within my soul. So I'm going to explain all of this to you. Make sure you're subscribed, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, and share the show with a friend. Smash the like button and comment. It'll help us out in the algorithm. I know I just told you to do a million things, but you can do them in 5 seconds. It's really, really easy. There's no reason not to do it. Hit the like button. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.